Welcome to the Befrienders training on relationships. A large portion of the calls we receive as befrienders are from callers with relationship issues. This training module is to help you understand relationships in the context of how befrienders support our callers with issues in this area. Although this module is about relationships, it is closely connected with the various topics such as self-awareness, how to manage calls, active listening, and how to communicate effectively. To befriend callers with relationships issues effectively, we need to pull all our skills in these areas together. That is why I make reference to these skills as I go through this module. There are 4 outcomes we hope to achieve in this module. The first is to understand what influences our relationships. This is important as it allows us to help the caller identify their emotion and feelings in the relationship and how it is affecting their relationship with the other party. We will discuss the possible areas of tension in relationships. For the caller to begin to deal with the tension, we need to identify the possible source of the tension. This includes the ability to form attachments, crucial in relationships. We will discuss the relationships between ourselves and the caller and the key points in managing calls on relationship issues. Your relationship with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship you have, Robert Holden, a British psychologist, said. There are 2 types of relationship issues. The relationship with ourselves, intrapersonal, what is happening internally and is reflected in the world around us. It is something that exists within one person. The relationship with others, interpersonal, you and another person or persons. It is a relationship or actions between you and others. For example, you and your family, your relatives, your partner, your friends, your colleagues, neighbors, your boss, business associates. Going back to the quote by Robert Holden, the British psychologist, it suggests that the way you see and treat yourself serves as the basis that influences all your other relationships. In other words, the quality of your relationship with yourself has a big impact on how you engage with and relate to others. For example, when you have a positive and healthy relationship with yourself, like self-acceptance, fully accepting who you are, self-respect and self-care, loving yourself, it establishes a positive tone for all your interactions with others. It allows you to approach relationships from a place of confidence, authenticity or genuineness, and emotional well-being. On the other hand, if you have a negative or unhealthy relationship with yourself, such as self-doubt, self-criticism, or low self-esteem, it can significantly affect your ability to form and maintain healthy relationships. It may lead you to seek validation, tolerate mistreatment, or experiencing difficulties with trust and intimacy. This is very important. We are befriending the caller, and understanding the caller's intrapersonal relationships may give some indications of the cause or issues to the tension they may be having. For example, if a caller tells you they're having a negative view of themselves and they also have issues with others, it may be an indication their intrapersonal relationship is the main issue here. You can then ask, how is their relationship with others, to try to uncover any patterns. When you get a call about a relationship issue, it's natural to start looking at the issue between the 2 parties. Remember, we are befriending the caller. It is all about the caller, not the problem or issue between the 2 parties. We'll be highlighting several times in this module to be person or caller centric rather than problem or issue centric. The quote, "Your relationship with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship you have," also emphasizes the importance of self-awareness and self-development. By cultivating a positive relationship with yourself, you will be better equipped to navigate and nurture meaningful connection with others. It suggests that investing in self-care, personal growth, and self-compassion can positively influence the dynamics and outcomes of your relationships. Ultimately, the quote highlights the idea that the way you treat and value yourself sets the standard for how you allow others to treat and value you. It encourages individuals to prioritize their own well-being and self-esteem, recognizing that this foundation will have a ripple effect on all the other relationships in their lives. Let's talk about relationships in general. We are social by nature. We were made to be with people, and that's how we survived and procreated for millions of years. It is in our psychological makeup as humans, and this is shared by many animals too. As such, relationships are a necessity to fulfill physical, mental, emotional, social, and financial needs, to the extent that the quality of relationships determines the quality of life. We use relationships to pursue happiness, making friends, getting married, having children, starting a business, because of the belief all of this will bring us happiness. And we are dependent on using people to pursue our own personal happiness. We try to attain happiness by building different types of relationships, doing different types of activities. That is why relationships are so important in our lives, and not surprisingly, when we don't have meaningful relationships and there are breakdowns in our relationships, we are affected mentally, emotionally, and psychologically. That is why we have many calls regarding relationship issues. When we pursue happiness, squeeze happiness from relationships, others may do the same with us, and there is this constant battle and opposing dynamics. So relationships can become a problem when we are not using it to enhance our lives, but using it to fill the gaps in our lives. For healthy, meaningful relationship with others, look to yourself in a very deep way. We are responsible for our own relationships. Again, it is about the positive intrapersonal relationship that we have with ourselves. Happiness in relationships starts with you. When you are a source of joy, your relationship is about sharing that joy, not squeezing joy out of somebody. What may complicate matters is that it takes two to make an interpersonal relationship, and the other person must also share the same joy to make this a happy, meaningful relationship. Sometimes callers blame the other party for causing tensions or breakdown in their relationship, which may be a possibility. But as we are not befriending the other party, just concentrate on the feelings of the caller and how this relationship issue is affecting them. Our emotions, thoughts, and behaviors are all interrelated. When we feel positively about ourselves, for example, we feel happy, satisfied, contented, proud of ourselves, we will have the self-confidence, self-acceptance, self-respect, self-care, self-worth, and self-assurance. We can develop meaningful relationship with others as we think we can trust others. We recognize quality in others, and we have the rationale to make sound decisions. Conversely, if we feel negatively about ourselves, for example, we become anxious, stressed, confused, angry, we feel guilty, ashamed, or embarrassed, and or depressed. This in turn will make us have self-doubt, self-criticism, low self-esteem, lack of self-confidence, and lack of self-respect. We will then not be able to develop meaningful relationships with others built on trust, mutual respect, and honesty. Let's do an activity now to map all the relationships that you have. This will be something for yourself and not shared, so please be as honest as you can. Take a piece of paper. In the middle, write the letter I. Write down all your relationships that you can think of with your parents, your spouse, sibling, boss, friends, relatives, etc. When you write down the relationship, for those close to you, write it close to the letter I, and for those that are not so close, further away. Now link the good relationships with an arrow. Link the not so close relationships with a broken line. Link those that are in conflict or poor with a zigzag or squiggly line. Stop the video while you're doing this and start it back up again once you've completed it. This map is to show you the relationships you have in your life and what type of relationships they are. Explore these relationships and think about the reason you are having the type of relationships that they are. The squiggly line relationships can be the area of tension in your life, but those relationships that are good can also turn out to be bad, potentially resulting in even greater tension and stress. Perhaps the negative intrapersonal relationships may be masked early in the relationship and only surface later. Since breakdowns in relationships can affect our mental and emotional states, let us look further at the causes of tension in relationships. Common causes of tension in relationships. Different expectations between the people in the relationships. They have different value. The desire to change the other person. Third-party involvement. Fear of manipulation, mistrust. Sexual issues. Guilt. Jealousy. Resentment. Loss of affection. Endogenous depression. Finances. Children. In-laws. These tensions are all too common. If you look through the lens of the intrapersonal relationships of one or the other party, it is not difficult to see negativity underlying it. What can be done? For the befriender, you ask questions and listen to see if this can be uncovered, thereby raising the awareness of the caller to this. With awareness, it can be up to the caller to look at options to improve the areas that need improving in the relationship. You may be asking, why not just give some advice when they bring up these problems? Remember, we are people-centric and not there to address the problem. In any case, the relationship may be very complicated and there may be other parties involved, so it is unlikely that you will get all the details to even consider a solution, and you're only hearing the tension from one side. We're not there to resolve the problem, only support the caller to the point they can begin to see options to resolve the problems themselves. Let's do another short activity. On a piece of paper, follow these two instructions. Identify a relationship with another, for example, your boyfriend or girlfriend, spouse, parents, your boss, colleagues, friends, that has tensions. Finish the following phrases that pertain to that relationship. For example, if you choose the relationship with your colleague at work, I get angry when my colleague takes advantage of my generous nature. I feel frustrated when I end up having to do some of her work too because she usually cannot cope. I want to run away when our boss comes up with a new project because my colleague will always pass me her workload. When accused, I want to scream or shout at my colleague for being so ungrateful. Stop the video while you're doing this. Take as long as you need. When you've finished, start the video again to continue. The exercise you just did demonstrates when there are tensions in relationships, negative emotions or feelings will be evoked. When our caller tells us about their relationship problem or issues, they will usually have emotions attached. By identifying their emotions or feelings and exploring its source using slow fast and different aspects of the listening wheel, we will raise the awareness necessary for them to start addressing their emotional state. This awareness will hopefully calm and clear their minds to allow them to make rational decisions on what to do next to improve or correct the relationship and/or the situation. At the core of relationships are attachments. What are attachments? On a personal level, it is an emotional bond to another person, a lasting psychological connection between humans. These bonds start very early. Earliest bond formed are children with their caregivers, whether it's biological parents, adoptive parents, guardians, or relatives, which will have a tremendous impact that continues throughout their lives. A parent guardian available and responsive to his or her infant's needs establish a sense of security. This infant knows the caregiver is dependable, thus creating the secure base for the child to explore the world. At the earliest stage, detachment or the emotional bond with the caregiver is formed by having a safe haven. The frightened child can return to the caregiver for comfort and soothing. Secure base. The caregiver provides a secure and dependable base for the child to explore the world. Proximity maintenance. The child strives to stay near the caregiver, thus keeping the child safe. Separation anxiety. When separated from the caregiver, the child will become upset and distressed. When a child grows up feeling unsafe, insecure, unloved, lacking comfort and reassurance, the child's mental and emotional well-being will be affected. This lack of security and comfort will create self-doubt and a negative intrapersonal relationship with him or herself. Where does it start, this attachment bond? Well, at the beginning, the mother-child bond is a primary force in infant development. Relationship between infants and primary caregiver is so important because it can shape all our future relationships, strengthen or damage our ability to focus, be conscious of our feelings and calm ourselves, and our ability to bounce back from misfortunes. As befrienders, when we have callers who have difficulty in forming good relationships and we observe negative intrapersonal relationships, exploring their early relationships sometimes reveal potential causes and explanations to their behavior with others. That is why it is important to focus on the person, not the problem. That is something that we keep repeating in befriending. Attachment bonds shape our ability to feel safe, to connect with others, to explore our world, deal with stress, be balanced mentally and emotionally, experience comfort and security, make sense of our lives, and create positive memories and expectations of relationships. It is also true with insecure attachment bonds, we tune out and turn off, becoming distant. We remain insecure and inconsistent. We become disorganized, aggressive, and angry. We develop slowly, resulting in physical and mental health problems. We develop social, emotional, and learning disabilities. Successful relationship starts with ourselves, having the positive intrapersonal relationship. It involves the ability to manage our stress, to stay tuned in with our emotions, to use communicative body language, to be playful in a mutually engaging manner with our significant partner, and to be readily forgiving, relinquishing grudges. What do you value most in your relationship? Here is another activity to identify what is most important to you in your relationship. Choose 5 from this list and place them in order, most important at 1 and the least at 5. If there is a value which is important to you and not on the list, Feel free to add it to your list. Stop the video while you're doing this and start the video again after you finish. This exercise is to raise self-awareness in what is most important to you. If we are aware of our own values, we are stronger and have self-confidence. It is then easier to recognize the quality of others. Let's talk about the relationship between us, the befriender, and the caller. When we are befriending a caller, it is important to remember the following. Be aware of our own emotional noises. What emotional states are we in at the start of the call and as we go through the call? Refrain from creating emotional locks, being locked into an emotional state throughout the call. Listen to our inner reaction, having an awareness of our reaction during the call, and be concerned yet detached, supporting the caller by allowing them to vent their emotions. Again, as befrienders, always be self-aware. If necessary, talk to your buddy or your mentor to unpack some of your own feelings. As a reminder, the befriender should be an effective listener and to maintain the caller-befriender relationship. Recall the principles of befriending. Review your notes on that. Not our job to provide treatment or solutions. Be person-centric, not problem-centric. Accept the caller as he or she is, non-judgmental. Being judgmental prevents you from empathizing with the caller and is a barrier to your ability to listen. Don't ask the caller to change his or her ways. Maintain equal level conversation. Avoid putting them into categories, i.e. avoiding being judgmental again. We are not experts. Admit if we don't know. For example, if they ask for legal or medical advice, inform them that we are not qualified to provide it. Don't impose our values. It is all about the caller. We just ask questions and listen. We explore some of these in the earlier modules. If you are unclear, raise this at the next face-to-face training or revisit the earlier videos and your notes. We've come to the end of this training video on relationships. With this video is a series of multiple choice questions which we hope you will spend a few minutes completing. If the question raises some points which you may have missed, do watch the video again or review the notes in your workbook related to this training modules. Jot down any points you want to discuss further and bring them to the next face-to-face session. Thank you.